Hello, everyone. This is Janet Kofi with the Social Light Production, where we are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. Welcome back to all of my Social Light Production supporters, I guess you can say, and also welcome to all of those who are new to the platform. Today's discussion is going to be a whole vibe. A whole vibe. As you can see, these fine gentlemen here next to me, they're going to be joining in on a discussion. I'm going to introduce them in a few. But today we are going to be covering the topic of vision, a vision lifestyle. And so just to kind of tee it up, when you think about New Year, what does everybody talk about? You talk about resolutions, you talk about, goals, doing it different. But some people are running ahead with things that they want to do or resolutions, but they're not really taking the time to see what their vision is for that resolution or for that particular dream they have. And so for today's discussion, we're going to talk about vision, and not just vision as being a one-time thing that you do for, when the clock strikes 12, but vision as it relates to making it a lifestyle. And so the title, as I mentioned, is A Vision Lifestyle. As I said, some are new to the platform and may not know me, or some may need a reminder. So as I said, my name is Janet Kape. I am the creator of A Social Light Production, and our mission is connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. How do we do that? One of the many ways is through authentic storytelling. And when I say authentic storytelling, it's whatever your story is. It's their story. And so this platform creates space for people to come on to tell their story as it relates to whatever the vision of the conversation is for me. I am an investor of people. A lot of times when you talk about investment or investor, you think about money. Yes, that's great. Yes, I do that too. But I love investing in people. I love connecting people. I don't know how to turn it off, right? And when you connect, you're building a bridge between mindsets and perspectives. Even faith and culture. That's all a part of who I am and what I do. I am a woman of faith. Me and Christ, we got a strong bond. And that is how I'm able to live this life the way that I live and, just thrive. The light of A Social Light Production is his light, not my light. I try to not make it my light because then I may taint his light. One other thing that I want to say is I am a first-generation Liberian American, a proud first-generation Liberian American, and I always have to say that because my upbringing was unique. So my parents are born in Liberia, West Africa. They came to the States, had my sisters and I. They brought the culture from Africa to America. And so we were raised in the Liberian community and culture and just experienced the best of both worlds here in America and, of course, within the culture. Now, it doesn't compare to growing up on the continent, and we have an original here that was born on the continent, so he's going to go into that, but I just want to talk about, again, who I am and where I'm from. Lastly, if you can't already tell, I am life, L-I-F-E, and I always live it to the fullest. I don't care what's going on, because one thing, I can't be walking on this earth and not be happy. No. I can't. Even when I'm not happy, we gonna do something, right? So I am life, and my motto that I've been using is life is worth living. Don't forget to live. Right. So now we're going to introduce our guests for this evening, these two Liberian influentials / visionaries. We're first going to start with Songa Yates.
Hi, my name is Songa Yates. I'm a resident of Charlotte, North Carolina, originally from Liberia, West Africa. I've lived in Charlotte from 95 till present. I'm a married individual, a beautiful wife, 3 kids. I'm a Catholic by religion. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm just a fun guy to be around.
Yeah. He really is. His energy is going to come up more as we talk because he is definitely more energized than that, but definitely fun to be around. And so I was going to ask you, what are you known for? And that's really one of the things. But how would others describe you? Or how do you think others would describe you?
Well, like I said, I've lived my life a certain way. I don't know any other way to live, Growing up in Liberia, we grew up in a close-knit community. So just like you said earlier, life is fun to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Regardless of who think I'm doing too much and who think, because people perception don't really matter to me too much. As long as I'm not disrespecting nobody, caring for people, that's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very caring person. Respectful. And that has shown through my years in Charlotte. You can ask anybody in this community, they won't have anything, I guess, negative to say about me, but he likes the pockets. That's what it is. But that's all, what I'm saying, because I figure the more you laugh, the better,
yes.
the less stressful you are.
Yes.
And that's just who I am.
And one thing about Songa, I always say it, he's probably gonna roll his eyes. I always call him our community celebrity. When he dresses, he represents his culture. He walks in the room, he owns it with confidence. He's not waiting for anyone to compliment or, try to take his shine. He is just who he is. And so we love and appreciate him for that and his leadership. So thank you, Songa.
I am Washington Kofi, first generation Liberian American, born in Lancaster, South Carolina. So my parents came to the U.S. 90. My dad started visiting the U.S. in the late 80s, doing ministry work. So my upbringing was pretty strict, pretty straightforward, but definitely a very loving environment. I think it's created me into what I am today.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the countryest city boys to ever meet. I definitely love music. That's the core of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, aside from God, let me put that first.
Yeah.
But music, I think for every mood, for every day that I walk around, for even every situation that I'm in, there's some sort of music that I love or can listen to. So yeah, that's a lot of me.
So how would others describe you? Describe Washington?
Whew. As a very chilled, relaxed, always smiling, always helpful, always willing to join in to do things with people.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely people know me for music, for drumming in the community. And I really love live music. It's, I feel like any song that I find, there's a live version of it somewhere, because of the experience that it creates. And it's like, so it just feels like steroids on any given song that you put.
Yep,
so.
You like live music and we like to dance, so that's a good combination.
They go hand in hand.
Right. Well, thank you guys so much for that introduction. So we are going to get into the conversation around vision, a vision lifestyle. And like I said, we're going to start with the Socialite production because this platform, this ministry, this business, it's built on vision. So it's not something that I woke up and said I wanted to do. It's something that I was burdened to do, something that I could not stop thinking about. And so again, the mission/vision of a Socialite production is to connect the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. This platform is designed, like I said, for individuals to stand on to tell their story. And with the individuals standing on this platform to tell their story, it's helping to change mindsets and perspectives. It's really making a big difference. If I was to tell you guys some of the backstories from the guests that have been on, to the individuals that have watched it, to people literally around the world that has reached out to me with certain features that I post, it's mind-blowing. So these conversations are very important. It's not just to be talking, it's changing lives. And so this year, I heard God tell me to go deeper. We've been a little bit comfortable in these conversations, right? We don't want to offend. We don't want to, whether it's faith, culture, whether it's whatever your opinion is. Now, we're not about to be disrespectful and do the most, but he wants us to go a little bit deeper, because if you're telling stories, you need to tell the real and the full story. So when I think about the platform over the past 2 years, like I said, I've covered a variety of topics. Faith, definitely covered culture, both my American and Liberian culture, and just things around entertainment or just lives or issues or suicide or mental health, just a bunch of things. And so today I want to get the perspective, start off by getting Songa and Washington's perspective, just on the platform as a whole. I know they haven't necessarily seen everything, but they follow, they've been featured. Either one of you, I don't know who wants to go, but just what are your thoughts on the vision of a socialite production, whichever part of it you want to capture? I guess Songa will go first.
First, I must commend you for such an endeavor. You know, it takes a lot to create what you created.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, it's not something that you just woke up in the morning and wanted to do, but it was a calling.
Yeah.
You know, and I have followed you since you started this. I've watched most of your interviews and stuff. You know, and I honestly think that it's gaining results. You know, because most of the events that you have, you are reaching a lot of people together. You know.
Yeah.
Because you coming from, you having African parents and living in America and got American friends and they got questions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so the more you create these events and bring them around, they can talk to people and they can learn more. So,
You're right.
So that's a very good avenue, and I just encourage you to continue what you're doing.
That definitely means a lot coming from Songa, because they don't play about their culture. They don't, you know what I mean? And the fact that he's followed and watched, I really do appreciate that, and that's what this is about. So definitely thank you. Washington, you have anything to add?
Yes, to piggyback on what Big Brother Songa was saying here, you're in a really special position. I've kind of felt somewhat that way my entire life as well, because you're never African enough for the Africans, never American enough for the Americans, but you have so much of both worlds. So, bridging the gap, like it's so important. Like, there are a lot of ignorances from both sides, just about what we think about each other, African Americans, Africans as well. So, again, we commend you for what you do. You're pulling so many of us along. This is like the core, the database.
Yeah, you're right.
Some of us who don't like to speak out
y'all
are being grown. Like, these are the moments, these are the this is the practice, for where we want to go, where we're gonna get into that vision. So
absolutely. No, that's definitely good. So when you speak about vision, right? Culture has made the words like vision and purpose so cliche that now sometimes it don't even register with people, right? But when I talk about vision, it's not just vision of what I want, it's what God has placed within me. And so for me, if I'm not moving according to what he says, I'm not doing it, especially something as big as this or something else. But when you talk about vision, it is so much more than what you can see. But you have to be able to see it. I always say see beyond the trees. Some people can look at a whole forest and just see trees. Others can look at a forest and see what they can or will create. And so before I kind of go into vision and just breaking that down, what are your thoughts on vision? And your honest thoughts, right? Like, do you even take the time to think about vision? Are you walking intentionally in vision? Just what are your thoughts?
So vision as of recently just became extremely important. Back to the statement where you said about, can you see beyond the trees? Growing up, I have always felt like I was a dreamer, but it would just remain a dream. So I think that's where vision plays a key component, because I think that's that driving force that allows you, to reach goals.
Absolutely.
And such, So,
Yeah. How about you, Songa? Do you ever think about it?
About vision? Yeah, because you can't do nothing in life without having a vision. Vision's an idea. It's a mental image of where you want to get to. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you do in life, you have to know your end result. So how you gonna get there? So some people take shortcuts to get there. Some people go the regular routes to get there.
Yeah.
But sometimes the fact of the matter is, it's just getting there.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So everything you do in life, it starts with a vision.
Yeah.
Everything you do in life starts with a vision. So you have, and I honestly think if you don't have one, you don't accomplish nothing. Because if it's a journey and you just started it and you don't know what you're doing, it's like you're lost.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to have a vision before you start doing anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I think about it all the time.
Yeah, vision is like is that blueprint.
Yeah.
But what's frustrating to people is they don't know the path. Like Songa said, there's an end, but how to get there. But it takes so much to get there. But just the consistency behind it, the will, the faith, the patience.
That's the one.
We are the patience.
Word.
Just patience just to sit in traffic. I ain't got.
Word.
But you know, if we're patient and consistent, we will see the fruit. But yeah.
There's a Liberian saying, a patient dog eats the fattest bone.
Oh yeah. And we eating this here. The topic of this discussion and you know the theme for the year is a vision lifestyle. So we broke down vision. Now I want to break down lifestyle. When you think about lifestyle, what do you guys think about? Like, I don't know, Songa, you want to start? Lifestyle. What is that?
You know, when people hear the word lifestyle, they're thinking about how you dress and, you know, but I think it's how you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because every individual, I personally think should go about life having certain values
Mm-hmm.
that they should keep. You know, because that's what makes you an individual. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have those values, and you let those values guide you in life. You know, and that becomes your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the whole materialistic part of it, I mean, it will come. It will come while you go along.
Right.
You know? But yeah, lifestyle is not just how you dress and how you know. It's just it's a whole lot of, like I said, the values that are in you as an individual and what drives those values. You know, that becomes a lifestyle.
That's definitely good. He's going deep beneath, not what you see, but what should carry you through. That's good. It's good, Songa.
Yes, to go along with him, you know, it's also how you spend your time, your daily routines that you do, the disciplines for the things that you don't do, you know. So I think he's pretty much covered most of it, but you know, those are definitely some contributing factors because you can have an overall lifestyle, but you know, I think you're led to those by your daily routine. You know, so definitely how you're spending your time.
Yeah. You know, both of their points are really good. I'm going to add a more holistic view to it. So add that plus community. And so when you look at how we were brought up and how we live, literally, a part of our lifestyle is community, is family, you know, is love, is showing up for each other. You know, unfortunately, we've lost, I am not going to get emotional. Unfortunately, we lost some good people last year and this year spilling over. And as a community, we always come together. But when we really need each other, we really come together. And so, you know, Songa helped to lead raising money for our friend, our dear friend who passed away. But there's always somebody who steps up because we got to take care of ourselves. If we don't take care of ourselves, who will? But that's literally a part of our lifestyle. That's how we've always lived as a Liberian community. That's one of the things that I value so much and take so much pride in. Now, I am not here saying that we are perfect because there's a whole bunch of stuff. But I can stand with pride when we come together as a community. We enjoy. Enjoyment. We live. So another thing that Songa did, you know, they didn't have a formal wake keeping service for Alex, our friend who passed away. So we all gathered at our community hub, Zanzibar, and we just chilled. We ate, danced, laughed, reminisced. But thank you. I did text you to thank you for that, but I want to publicly thank you, seriously, for that, because as Tanya said, Tanya's my sister's behind the camera. But one thing about Songa, he's always been behind the scenes. He don't like the lights. He don't, you know, not saying he don't like it, he can't do it, but that's not what he's necessarily about in this role. But as the community has shifted and people have moved and people are gone, he took the lead. And so I just want to say thank you. I'm looking forward to more leadership roles that you got.
You know, when it comes to community, like you were saying, that's not leading and everything. Like you said it earlier, the whole idea of social life. You didn't just get up one day and want to do it. It was just on you. So
Right.
it's the same thing with me being in this community. From the time even from Liberia, I was always part of something. And I noticed that every time I was part of something, I was the head of it. For some reason, I just ended up being the head of it. So that followed me when I came to Charlotte. And even among my peers, they would be the first to put me up front to do it. I guess because they figure I know what I'm doing or whatever. But yeah, so it's not something that I was pushing for, but it just followed me everywhere I go. So and I step up to it every time it comes. So
yeah, when you're a leader, you're a leader. Whether you're in front of the scene or behind the scene, you're still a leader. Yeah. So definitely Washington, you have that leadership role as well. I don't know if you're going to talk about what you do professionally and just in the community, but you lead by way of what you're producing, and the other individuals you give them the opportunity to do the same. I'm not gonna go deep into it, but I just wanted to point out that leadership part. You want to touch on it, or you good?
Sure, yeah, I can definitely touch on it.
Okay.
So again,
it's your lifestyle.
Yeah, it's my lifestyle. My lifestyle just happens to be music. So
yes.
Yeah. So recently, not even recently. This is something that's evolved over time into something physical now. But I have a platform called Africa Live, which I will be launching February 26th next month. And what we are is a platform for artists to experience the live music setting and cultural setting of African music. So what's key about it is the part that you perform with a band. So, a lot of times in our culture, I'll say our culture as in Liberian, because a lot of the rest of the diaspora of Africa definitely are caught up to certain standards of just live entertainment.
Right.
Yeah, we still be doing our little DJ play.
right.
So, but I just thank God for putting something like this on my heart to want to, pull us up, still acknowledge the rest.
Absolutely.
Because you must give thanks to them because you see and you admire how they do it, but
Absolutely.
you still feel encouraged for your own people.
Absolutely.
So, and even here in the community, again, slowly but surely, people are starting to get on the wave and truly understand. And it's tough. Like you said, you got to have a vision, and the more you keep doing something, the clearer that vision gets. And as of today, I know that it's absolutely clear, and I have people like you and Tanya behind the camera, that definitely are pushing me to that greatness. So.
Well, I'm excited about it because, again, as we were talking about community and lifestyle, I see that being another version of community outside the Liberian community. So we talk about the Liberian community a lot because that's where we reside, but we also reside in an American community. And as Songa said, with me bridging the gap, I want them to get some of this good stuff. This is authentic African culture and African experiences. So that's all a part of the bridging the gap. So as we painted the vision, what vision is, and lifestyle, you put those two together, a vision, lifestyle. As we said, it's a way of life. It's all of those other awesome things. I have the definitions written down, but we pretty much covered it all, so I'm not going to repeat it. But one thing I want to leave you guys with as it relates to the concept of vision. Again, I told you guys I'm a woman of faith, and when you talk about God's word, that is what I stand on. And so with vision, Habakkuk 2:2 is write the vision down, make it plain on tablets, so that he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It tarries to the end. It will not lie. It will not tarry or delay. If it seems slow, wait for it. It surely will come. It will not delay. It will not tarry. And so this used to sound contradicting to me because it's like, oh, wait for it. It's coming. But it's going to tarry, meaning it may delay. But wait for it. It will not delay. A lot of times when we think it's a delay, it's right on time. when I think about a socialite production and the vision and what I've done, I think about my journey, because this didn't just, it started in 2020, but it started way before 2020. And so growing up in a Liberian community under the leadership of my parents and aunties and uncles, being pushed in spaces to lead, to speak, in which I could not speak. Like back in the day, you would see a big wet spot under my arm stuttering. I just didn't have that. So if you would have told me that I'll be in front of cameras, be on radio talking, I would like, please find somebody else to do it. But I had to work my way through this. And even when God gave me the vision of a socialite production, I had to see it before I saw it, and I had to believe it before I actually believed it. I had to believe it before it actually happened. And yeah, all of it works together. And so this scripture here says to write it down. Sometimes when you don't write things down, even a grocery list, you'll go to the store for one thing, but then you're all over the place. But when you write the vision down, you go back to it. And so when others come in your ear, or even when you are in your ear doubting or saying, okay, I'm gonna try this way, go back to the vision. There's flexibility on the way you get to the path to get to the end, but there's not flexibility in the frame and foundation of the vision that God gave. So I don't know if you guys want to touch on this scripture.
I mean, you know, if you want to be detailed, you can do that, but I think it's all about being focused. You know,
That's
being
it.
focused. Whether you write it down, you don't write it down. You can write it down and stay don't accomplish it.
It's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? But you know, it's all about just being focused. You know, knowing what you want to do and just go after it. Along the way, like you said earlier, it's gonna be obstacles, there's gonna be hurdles, but those nothing in life come easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially in a country like where we are right now. You know, nothing comes easy. You know, sometimes when you look at yourself and you think that you in the worst situation, just drive somewhere and see some other people. So you always gotta be grateful for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, patience, and it's gonna come.
Yeah.
Keep working at it.
You gotta keep working.
Yeah.
Can't give
Write
up.
it, don't write it, but
Now what he's saying is true, but if you don't write it, you better be focused to remember it, right? Some people are laser sharp focused,
yeah.
others are not. So yeah. Washington, you had something to add?
Yeah. So it's funny a lot of times when we try to tell God what we gonna do. Yeah, you know this. Yeah, you know that we try to tell him. You know, God looks at us like, oh, really? Okay, you know, I'm gonna show you. So like, thank God for all the different times when you know we fail. Honestly,
Yeah.
Be thankful for those times when you truly fail, because they help to build your character and help to build that resilience. And you know, truly, like our destinies are built like through life journeys and so many different situations that you think, oh yeah, like, you know, but you might not think you have discipline, but you can look back, you know, at that situation and be like, hey, I did this thing. And like for me, for instance, man, mine was school. So originally I went to Johnson C. Smith, and I was horrible. Just to be honest, like, you know, it took me a long time to get to this space of just even acknowledgement that I was just unprepared. Yeah, at the end of that journey, or at the end of that, like, part of the journey, I just inherited debt and was literally kicked out of school. Took time off. This all took about 8 years. Went back to school, University of South Carolina, where finally after some time, like, you know, but just all those failures from before, like I can remember every time after I would flunk a class and I would cry and be like, oh God, why? Like, you know, and finally after enough of that, it was just like, all right, when it happened again, it, like, just got to this point, was like, why are you crying? Why? You do this to yourself. You continually follow, you know, that's like the definition of insanity. Like, you know, doing something continuously over and over and never, like, you know, expecting different results. So, but like, by having those emotions, by hitting those lows later on in life, you know, it helped to build me once again to finally get over that hump and, you know, do what I needed to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. When you can come to the point of admitting and recognizing and appreciating, that's growth.
Right.
So definitely thank you for that.
And to add to what you're saying too, sometimes when people set goals for themselves and on the journey to accomplish that goal, what's the word I want to use? they put too much pressure on themselves, and then they don't get to that goal.
Yeah.
You know, so in your process of getting to your goal, just don't forget life while you're going for your goal.
Right.
People actually forget life. Like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm just gonna work from home.
Yeah.
You're gonna burn yourself out.
Live.
Just still life. You know what I'm saying?
Get some fresh
And
air.
yeah, you just gotta mix it up. You gotta be a master of your craft. You know what I'm saying? Mix it up, and because if you just think, bam, that's where I'm going, nothing else, you'll answer nobody's phone, you're not going nowhere, you're not gonna last. Because you're fooling yourself. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta mix it up.
Yeah.
You know, like he was saying, you know, he went through it, messed up, went back, and did it again. You know what I'm saying? But he learned from the first time.
Right.
And he corrected it.
Right.
On the fourth time.
I mean, but hey, and sometimes you got it.
And what I gathered from the Bible verse, writing it down just will make you focus. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? But if it's in your head and you that kind of detail person and you know you can get it without writing it down, you can do it. You don't have to write it down.
I guess my writing it down was just literally in life, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's different situations happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, so
got
it
you.
was written down in my
Yeah.
spirit.
Sometimes when you have it written, but for me, because again, it's not a one size fit all, and you come in your room or going like wherever you want to. I have a notebook, but sometimes I'll put little notes in certain places, and right with my eyeball, right with my eyes, look at it. I'm like, okay, thank you, God. It's like it's literally Him speaking to me from. Really, it's like a prayer. You writing this vision down, but it's like a prayer to God, like. You told me to do this, you know, like it's a reminder of that. So, but I love, you know what? It's just now coming to me. Songa keeps saying focus, and focus is another word that God has given me for this year. So this year is a year of movement. I use #WeMoving, and we're moving deeper, whatever deeper depths you need to go to, moving. But in order to move, you gotta be focused. To hear where God is taking you, you gotta be focused. To actually execute what He's telling you to do, you have to be focused. And it wasn't until after He said it about 5 times now it's registering, like, that is the word, focus. Focus on the vision. What is your vision? Not what's popular, not what makes you feel good, not the easy route, because He said you gotta work hard. Focus. I'm being dramatic because I'm really talking to myself.
And a lot of times too, the reason why people don't dream big, they don't go after stuff, because everything, like you were saying, it can't come easy.
It don't.
And most people are afraid of failure. You know, there's a lot of people out here who want to be entrepreneurs and everything, but just the fact of the matter, they're scared. I was there one time too, you know, but I'll tell you my story, like, I couldn't do it. If anybody told you I could do it, I was working at this job. And you know how you work somewhere and you just hit it?
Yeah.
You know? I was working second shift. And it so happened, summertime, that's when everybody go to the park to have fun. But I'm at work.
Yeah, right.
That used to get to me. So, this one guy, he used to do the computer. You know, whenever the computer messes up, he come and he fixes. So I talked to him one day and I was like, what does it take? What do you have to do your job? You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh man, just go to college right here, get a 1-year certificate or whatever. So I'm like, shit, I could do that. So I go to the manager and I said, he's about to leave. I want to take over his job. So can you guys allow me? He was like, yeah. So I went to the school. They actually allowed me to do 4 hours a day at work and the other rest I was at school.
Okay.
Good. That's when computer was just started, like 2000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I went and I did everything with the hope that I'm about to get this job. You know what I'm saying? Because he don't do nothing. You know? He has an office, he just go sit in that office and then you call him on the radio, oh, this computer messed up. He come back and just do blah, blah, blah.
And
And
that's
that's it. He goes back to the office. I'm like, that gonna be my job. So, long story short, I graduate, come back to the manager, and this individual is acting like we never had this conversation. Like we never had a conversation. So that broke me.
Of course.
It broke me. When I say it broke me, so George Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So George was in he was an entrepreneur then. So he kept telling me, man, leave that job. Come on. So I had some money to save up, you know. But I'm scared as hell.
Right. Right.
I'm scared. Yeah. You know, when you used to getting that paycheck every Friday, that's security. That's guaranteed, you know what I'm saying? And we live in America, so in America, everything is whether you gotta pay bills to live. This is not Africa, you know, you gotta pay bills to live, you know.
Or you
and it comes
people.
and it comes every 30 days. So I just went through that. I used to go to work every day just mad.
Yeah.
Mad. So one day I just went to the manager. I asked him, I said, can I take a leave of absence for 3 months? He said, yeah, you can do that, but we can't pay you. If you come back in 3 months, you stay at your job. Never went back. That's my last time working for anybody in America.
Wow, and that was what year?
2001.
That's a blessing. I was about to give a round of applause, but it really is. I commend you and admire
It
you.
was easy to make that decision because I was already mad at what I had going on.
blindly.
You know what I'm saying? So I just went with my guts. I just like,
Yeah.
if they can do it, I can
And
do it.
that's it.
And when I got into it, there were failures. I ain't gonna lie to you, there were failures, but because I figured I'm not going back over there. So
You gonna
I
make
gotta
it work.
make this work.
Yeah.
You know, so I just became more focused and bam. Long story short, I'm here today, you know.
Yeah, that's a good story on courage. Indeed.
Yeah.
Definitely, and faith.
And faith. Absolutely. Courage and faith. But when you talk about vision, he had a vision of leaving that job. He knew he didn't want to work there. He knew he wanted to work for himself. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Right. So we are having a really good conversation. And I told you he was going to warm up. You see? But no, this is good. This is a good reminder. And it's just nice to hear the perspective of vision from you two, because we don't talk about vision and stuff when we're out. We're enjoying each other, right? So this is very, very good stuff. I want to go a little bit deeper into vision, but kind of tie it into the year. You know, like I said, Socialite Production, we have a vision for this year. The vision is to go deeper. The vision is to move. The vision is to continue the painting of the story. My story as a first generation Liberian American and other relatable stories. So as it relates to faith, as it relates to culture, as it relates to entertainment, as it relates to what's going on in government here and in Liberia. Those things matter to me. So you're going to hear it on this platform. And like I said, this year, I'm going to involve more men. Not saying the women are not going to be on the platform, but it does something to me when you hear the men like go deep. There are so many people, young men and women, and even your peers that need your leadership, that needs your influence, even if it's just them watching this video, hearing your perspective. Songa, believe it or not, you may encourage somebody, not just in the Liberian community, because this is all over the world, encourage them to take the step to leave. Somebody right now is at their job, going to be watching this, going to be like, yeah, I'm about to leave, right. Just make sure you got a plan, bro. Don't make sure you got a plan. Right. In general, what are you guys expecting to see for this year, whether personally and or collectively as a community or just a society? So that's very broad, but I didn't want to make it too specific. But do you guys see anything just in reference to expectations for the year?
Like for me personally, 2023, I'm trying to branch off into something different from what I'm usually doing. It's kind of the same, and I'm starting a logistics company. I'm actually in the process of acquiring equipment and stuff like that. So that's my focus right now. And like I said, everything comes with it. And I'm one of those people. I don't like the old people. So I like to sleep good.
Yes.
I don't like my phone ringing and just people just calling me. So, and I tell everybody, when you want to start a business, try to save up and just go get the stuff. Don't start crediting, because when you do that, you already start in debt.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm not trying to do. So I'm just gradually gathering what I need to get started. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
So that's my focus for 2023. You know, and as far as community, you know, we started with the Lucian presidency.
The Liberian
Yeah,
Association.
with the Lucian presidency, I think we made a lot of great progress.
Yeah.
Even though from the beginning there was some kind of iffy between the other team and the other team, but I could see that we all came together. You know, I haven't seen our celebration this live than a couple of years back.
Yeah,
Like
back
during
in the
90s,
day,
you know how
yeah.
it used to be fun.
Yes.
It's starting to feel like that.
It's
You-
going
you
back
got
to
what
that
I'm
direction.
saying?
Yeah.
So we just need to continue on that path and just encourage more young people to, you know, get into it, you know, like I said. Because when it comes to this whole community, it's a passing on thing. You gotta pass it on. You gotta pass it on, you know. See, like, I'll give you an example, like that soccer team you see they play every,
Charlotte soccer family.
with Abu and all this
Yeah,
stuff,
Charlotte
right?
soccer family.
It used to be Club International. You know, Mr. McIntosh he used to be here. When he was leaving, he turned that team over to me.
But what happened? What
And
you
I bankrolled that team for
Oh, okay.
years. You got what I'm saying? And then when I was leaving, I turned it over to, you know, to Richie and Abu and Maxwell. And it brings me joy to see that they're still doing it.
going hard.
You got what I'm saying? They're still doing it. So we just have to encourage more young people to get into leadership role. You know, because people are gonna get older and they're gonna lose interest in certain things. And we need people to step into these roles. You know, you got what I'm saying? So it might seem hard from the beginning, but once you get into it, it's a fluid things. You know, some people everybody can be leaders.
Yeah,
You
no,
know, so you can be a younger person and lead older people.
that's
You
true.
know, I don't think they're gonna have a problem with that as long as you get the job done.
Right.
You know, and then when it comes to government, you know, we are in the greatest country in the world, so whatever happens in presidency over there, I don't care. This thing gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? So the country is built in a way where no matter who the president is, everybody gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got rules and laws, you know, but with Liberia, you know, as we all know, you know, we are trying and praying that what we have right now changes, you know, because things and times are not as good as they used to be. You know? So we just hope and pray that, and we talk to these people back home, just try to acknowledge them. Like,
Right.
look, you got to do something different to get different results. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of people back home that we facilitate. You know, we pay school fees and all of that, and support their families and stuff.
Yeah.
So we not telling them what to do, but we just encouraging them. Like in order for your situation to change, you have to start thinking different. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's the way I'm at with that.
Yeah, before you go, Washington, he said so much. I hope I can grab on some of the, remember some of the things he said, but pretty much he was speaking about legacy, right? Legacy of the soccer team, legacy of the Liberian Association, legacy of, you know, government officials, just legacy, passing the torch. And one of my things for this year, as far as what I see is, okay, we all have sung this song. We all talk about legacy. But how, right? We have to influence. We have to demonstrate. We have to show. One of the main reasons for a social life production, you know, God said, you're going to connect people. You're going to connect people internationally. So those individuals in Liberia that he's referring to, they're going to see this. I have family in Liberia that have seen this, right?
And they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it's like we have to educate each other. We have to empower each other. Because sometimes people may know, and then sometimes people may not, and you'll be surprised, right? Like something as simple as go and pick up that umbrella. Okay, how? What do you mean how? Go and pick up the umbrella. Go and show them how to pick up the umbrella. You know, allow them the chance to lead. Allow them the chance to paint their vision. It's small steps towards bridging the gap. One thing that I said, I had a conversation last week about the community. So Songa referenced the community in the 90s, and I can even go back to the 80s when we were in Haribo's. The community was very tight-knit, strong. We consistently produced, right? As the community has grown, as more people have migrated to the States, it's still a community, but doesn't feel as close-knit, tight-knit. with President Lucian Edwards taking over the Liberian Association is what he was referring to. He started to bring back that community feel, but it still have their silos of other communities that either didn't know or did not want to be a part. What I see for this year is bridging that gap and connecting. And a simple, free way to do this that people don't even think to start with is by way of conversation, authentic relationship building, and just getting to know each other. We go to our community hub, Zanzibar. Sometimes the same people, sometimes it's different people, but the more you go, you're going to start talking. You get familiar, and then now they're joining the community, and then they're going to go and tell somebody about the community. But if we keep yelling community, if we keep yelling lead, keep yelling this, but we're not creating space to do that, then how do we do it? Before you go, did you have anything else to piggyback on that?
Yeah, I mean, based on what you were saying, because I know you keep telling me that I need to talk to you, you know.
Don't be telling me. But since you put it out there.
And I kind of, like you said, we need to create more avenues to talk. You know, like you said, it's free.
It's free.
You know, and people, like you said, at the end of the month, 30 days, I don't come to your house to pay your rent. You don't come to mine to pay mine.
Right.
You know, so we don't owe each other nothing.
Right.
The least we can do is just have a conversation.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And then we can find what's coming among us, and then we can grow on that.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we can get together, you know, apart from this avenue, and create a means, not just Zanzibar, like probably a monthly thing where we can just go somewhere, just do something different, just bring our people out. You know?
Right.
So we can create something like that. Like I said, it's just giving different avenues so people who are not comfortable in that particular space can be able to, you know, come up somewhere else different and, you know.
And then another thing that I see for this year is bridging both communities. So when you talk about Africa Live, that's something that is new, that is fresh, that is not limited to just Liberians or the Africans. The Americans, they love African music too, right? Or, you know, they call it Afro beats, but let's now upgrade and let them hear African music live. And so all of that is opportunity to bridge the gap. Because when they come to these events, what's going to happen? Conversations, meetings, invitations to other events. So I just wanted to piggyback on that a little bit because it's just something that's strong on my heart. And I know we're going to start seeing progress this year and beyond.
Yeah, so when I think about this year, man, it's definitely a lot of things. So I guess I'll do a mixture between just Liberians in general and our community. But, you know, I think I'm on the same campaign as you, that this is the year of action. Man, when I say I know way too many Liberian creatives, like, you know, just that I see, whether it be online, that are extremely talented, or that are right here in the city with us. Like, you know, two that are right here, like you actually literally have a platform. It's what Liberians Connect. That's for, like, you know, it's like the league of extraordinary people. You know? So, yeah, like I think there needs to be so much more connection this year, but intentional, just intentional acts, like, you know, about what we do. Intentional connection. That's what I'd say. Like I said, there's way too many of us to not continue to do things. Even when I look at just Liberia in general, whether it's from artists, whether it's dancers, whether it's you know, videographers, whether it's hosts, like TV show hosts, whether they're bloggers, there's way too many talented ones of us. So I feel like this is the year where we gain more traction, that we're more recognized in the conversation of just Africa in general. Hence again, this platform, Africa Live, it is for all of Africa, but we will make sure that you know that it was created. We'll definitely make sure that you know that part. So I definitely feel extremely nationalistic, being that I was born here. But again, like, you know, you grow up in such an environment, you hear these stories, and then finally when you're able to able to go in place, like, you know, the places that you heard about, and get your own sense of belonging there. Like, you know, luckily, you know, in this lifetime, anywhere I go, I just feel like I always adapt.
Yeah.
And, you know, at some point in time, I feel like I will go and live in Liberia. And I know there's many people my age, some older, some a little bit younger.
Getting property.
Yeah, exactly. That are moving back, that are just moving to West Africa in general and doing so many things and living prosperous lives. So the time is now. That's all I can say. So far as my personal, you know, not too much to say on that right now because God is definitely
And that's fine.
working on me a whole lot. In many great ways though. Like, you know, some people like, you know, they would like, oh, like, you know, that means the negative side of something. But no, in so many great ways, like definitely more discipline this year. I'm always good. Like I said, I'm a dreamer at heart. So I'm always good for having these prolific things. And I didn't tell you, but like, you know, I'm actually a film student. Like I graduated from the University of South Carolina in film and media.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more focused on production. But like, you know, you just get so deep in like in dreams and you never ever, well, me per se, like, you know, just act upon these things. So it's the year of action. It's the year of speaking.
Yeah.
You personally gave me that thing to do for this year that I need to speak. And, you know, being that it, you know, it's not comfortable. Because, again, I was part of the sweaty armpits crew.
Sweaty armpits crew. That nervousness.
Yes. Oh, man.
Before you do it.
Yeah, because I always feel like, man, like, you know, in my head, man, yeah, if I stood in front of these people, it would be so prolific. But then at the moment, the side where it's like, spotlight, you know, go. And then, you know, now I'm shaking in my boots. So, you know, thank God for growth in that, like, you know, we have chances to practice things and get better. So I'm going to continue. Social Light Production, this is not your last time seeing me this year. I'm going to go ahead talking a whole lot.
It's not.
Unnervous, like, you know, unnervous.
But you know what it is, and I don't know, I talked to so much, I forget who I had conversations with, but what used to make me so nervous about public speaking is because I thought I had to do it in a certain way, in a certain cadence, perfect, and if I mess up, everything is gone. Now, what you see is what you get. Like all of us are representing who we are. You know, and once you are comfortable in your skin and you own it, regardless of what anyone thinks, the sweat reduces. Unless the lights are just high.
And I don't think anybody's born to be a public speaker. You know, people just grew into that thing. I used to be shy too. You can't get me to do that no more. You know, you can't do that no more.
Right.
It's just growing. It's like growing up too. You know.
It's growing up. Like,
I used to tell you when you're in front of a lot of people talking, just pick one person, just look at that person.
My dad said
That's
this.
it. And it would look like you're looking at everybody else, but you're looking at that one person.
Songa did that when we were at Zanzibar. I was like, why you look at me? I told you I was going to be a vibe. I didn't know they were going to go all this deep, but it's good stuff. And so as it relates to vision, I want to kind of wrap up this conversation with, I think I was probably trying to do that before and we got carried away, but with the vision of a Social Light production this year and some of the conversations we're going to have. And so two that I'm bringing back from last year, I get these visions of themes and it just kind of just blows up into something so beautiful, but it starts with a thought. But like, for instance, for Black History Month, last year I had something, conversations around Black history dreamers. We stay on the same individuals who did great work, but there are so many individuals, whether known or unknown, who are doing great work. So they too are Black history dreamers. Instead of just saying Black history, limiting it to a month, you're just a Black history dreamer. You are a dreamer and you're making history. And so I'm excited about bringing that back and highlighting a different set of people for that. You know, Black History Month, you know, a lot of times the African culture is mixed in with Black history, right? And celebrating, and that's fine. But one thing I want to do is have a panel discussion on Africa. Within our community, and I was being honest, we always say, oh, Africa hot now. We say that in a sarcastic way because Africa been hot. African people, we've been hot. We've been here. We've been trying to tell y'all, but I'm glad, you know. Yeah, but you know, Seeing is believing. And again, this platform, I want you guys to see. If we're not telling our stories, how can we expect them to know what the culture is, right? How can we expect them meeting anyone outside of the African culture to know what is real African dancing? What is real African music? How do you make authentic African dishes? How do y'all speak in the various countries, the colloquy and everything else? Like, they have to see. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about love stories. Valentine's Day, we talk about love, hearts, or whatever, but when you talk about love stories, this is a love story. It's not just for a relationship, it's what you love, it's who you love. That's going to be interesting. And then something else we're going to do as it relates to Easter / Resurrection Sunday, for those who are believers. Last year I did something called Holy is a Vibe, hashtag. And actually I want to park here. When, I asked everyone, what comes to mind when we think about holy? For me, back in the day, I used to be a nun, used to be a minister, used to be a pastor, used to be somebody that's perfect, walking straight, not sinning, not doing nothing, right? That's a part of it, but that is not what holy is according to God's definition. Holy is having purpose. Being a believer, having purpose, recognize that you are sent here for purpose and being intentional about walking that purpose out. And in the vibe, who you are as a person. Like I said, these individuals here, they are a vibe and you've already seen it. God wants us all to walk this faith walk in the character and identity that He's created us. But a lot of times Christians, what we do is we judge each other. If you don't look a certain way, if you do certain things, if you go certain places, we all are children of God. Y'all, we gotta do it different. Talk about holy is a vibe / faith. Pretty much is what I'm talking about. What comes to mind for you guys with that?
I had the pleasure of actually doing during the Holy Week last year, doing a video about the Holy is a Vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a space that you get to that sits above like your normal being. Again, it's the purpose, a place of purpose that you get to. And for me, when I talk about purpose or whatever, I always go back to the word perseverance. For me, because I'm just that kind of person. Like, it doesn't matter what I have going on, as long as I feel like I have time on my clock, like breath continuing through my body, then I know I can conquer whatever is going to be in my way. Like, I gave the example about school. I was an 8-year period, of a lot of failure before I ever got to, a place of grace to continue. So,
right.
Same thing with music and all the same examples that I've given here. Like, in order to be where I am now, like how elevated, how confident I feel in these things, like, it's always been perseverance. It's a continuous thing. It's a day-to-day thing, even though at times, I can feel extremely discouraged, but I've never felt like, I wasn't going to make it to where I'm going. It's just like, hey, this is just another day on your journey. And truly, like, the journey isn't the destination. It's the trip that you're taking to get there. And when you're going to look back and you be like, wow, I went through all of these things. That. Yeah, so when I talk about Holy is a Vibe, like I said, I always, put perseverance right there, because I think that truly defines me.
And it's recognizing who's helping you to persevere.
Right.
That's the thing. When we're in relationship, it's, God is there for a reason. Right. He's not there just to be for people to worship and praise Him. He's like, hey, let me help you, Exactly. So when you talk about faith, holy is a vibe, all of that, be who you authentically are. God meets all of us where we are. So you can be off the chain. He's still going to meet you where you are. And the expectation for that person who's off the chain versus somebody who's been further down the walk, it's going to be different. Okay, you have something to add.
The good thing is, even if you feel you have time on your hands, you're young, so cover up.
I understand.
So when it comes to religion, I'm not the most religious person, but I live my life a certain way, all my life I grew up in the church, if it wasn't a Baptist or Methodist, it was a church, a Catholic church. I went to Christian schools all my life. So I have that sense that there is a being, You know, it's God. You got what I'm saying? And I can see God in everybody. You know what I'm saying? So every day as I walk this earth, I just look at people, and if I'm supposed to do something for somebody, I always ask myself, like, what would Jesus do? You get what I'm saying? You know, some people, we see a lot of people on the street, you know, going through problems, and we try to judge them. Oh, that man, he's just doing it because of that. You know, you never know what that person's going through. You know, so don't judge them. If whatever you have to help them, help them. If it's not for that purpose, they're gonna be on their own. You know, you did what you have to do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just like you were saying earlier too, you know, you don't have to go to church every Sunday to know that. You know, God can meet you where He can meet you at. You know what I'm saying? Some of the people that go to church are not the more religious people. People go to church for fashion. So it's just one of those things, you know. And for me, this is something I'm gonna tell you. I ain't never told nobody before.
Exclusive.
Exclusive, yeah. It's hard for me to cry. Very hard. Even when people die, it's hard. But you know what makes me cry? Like if I'm watching a movie, somebody just do something small, I can cry next. I can cry. That little.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So something like that, I won't, but something that little will make me cry. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the kind of person I am, you know? So, and as I travel and go out and meet different people, there's one instance I must tell you guys about. I went to Liberia one time, and I went to a gas station to buy some gas. And something happened. A car just pulled up, and the girl got down from the car, and she came and passed us. She had like a tumor right here, real big tumor on her neck, man. So I just kept looking at the girl. She came, she said, "How you doing?" She passed, and she went. So when I went home that day, I couldn't stop thinking about that girl. I could not stop thinking about that girl. I didn't even know her name. Didn't even know her name. So this other day I stopped again. And just like she got from the car, her father got from the car. I guess he was going home too. So I asked the guy at the gas station, I said, "Remember that girl that was here the other day with the thing?" He's like, "Yeah." "Oh, there go her father right there." So I called him. I said, "What's going on with your daughter?" He was like, "Man, we've taken this girl everywhere, man. It started like a little pimple, and it just grew to that thing." You said, "A beautiful girl, man." And I heard about this doctor in another part of Liberia. I was doing these operations, you know, and so after I talked to him, I said, "I think I could probably help the daughter." He's like, "Man, he said, man, I don't know you could do that, man. We've been everywhere. We've been to all the hospitals and all that." I was like, "No, just give me a chance, let me see." So we shared numbers and stuff. And I went and did my research. I was able to get in contact with a doctor. He's like, "Yeah, I think we could do that." So I got in contact with her, and I facilitated the trip. She went to the operation.
Wow.
So when she got there, they took the x-ray and everything. He told her she got to wait for at least 2 weeks. So he took those pictures, and he sent them to his friends around the world. And asked them whether any one of them had ever seen something like that. You got what I'm saying? And what did they do to get rid of it? You know, because he said he hasn't seen anything like that. So he actually talked to a guy that told him exactly what to do.
Wow.
Call long story short. 3 days later, you see that girl?
No tumor. Wow.
And it so happened, just as she was getting it done, I had to leave and come back to America. So she hasn't seen me since she did it.
Wow.
Yeah. So she goes to my house almost every day.
In Liberia.
Yeah. And asks, "When is this man coming?"
Oh.
When is this man coming? You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
So just simple things like that. I could have been
That's more than simple.
I could have not paid attention to that girl.
Right.
Like, 'cause that wasn't my problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But just like I said, certain things just move me certain times.
Yeah.
You know, and just that situation, like, you know.
And you're not trying to get credit or fame. You just doing it to help her.
I'm just glad I was able to help her.
Yeah.
And now she has everything back. She can function as a regular person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love it. I especially love it when it's done and not publicized. Nothing's wrong with it, but it's the intention behind
Yeah,
it.
you're not doing it to get accolades or anything like that. But
Yeah.
it's just I'm just glad I was able to make another human being fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's what life is. What would Christ do?
Yeah.
That's how I go about.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. And that's in every situation, whether helping people out, even how you're showing up, how you respond. I mean, it's a lot. Sometimes it's like, okay, I'm not Jesus. You know what I mean? But it doesn't exempt you from trying. So what Songa did, he just tried. He didn't know, but he just tried, right? So whatever effort you make as an individual, Songa made a point. He said he's not very religious. You know, over the past few years, that is my stance, even though I'm a Christian. But when I introduce myself, I don't talk about religion. I don't even talk about my denomination. I talk about relationship. So if y'all notice when I introduced myself, I didn't say I was a Christian. I said my bond is tight with Christ. That's my other way of saying it because it's a relationship. And one thing about this relationship, you either believe it or you don't, but some things about it can't be explained. It can only be experienced. When you experience the true and living God through situations that you can't explain, you know he's real. What you did, that was God's work. What you heard, that was God's voice. You were focused in on somebody who needed something.
And when I say I'm not religious, I don't mean that I'm not. What I mean, you know, we have people, I don't know what I call them religious or whatever. You know, people just walk around with the Bible every day and, you know, act like they're all, you know what I'm saying? To the general population, that's religious. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They're showing that, like I said, you know, you can do stuff what you do, but do it in silence, you know what I'm saying? Just have the relationship with God. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't have to be the one to put it up in front. So when I meant, that's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant. And then two, I want to be real careful with my tone because I'm not negating those who go to church. Those who, that's not what we're doing.
I go too now.
It's, no, yeah, I do too. I'm just saying. I'm just saying holistically, my sister always says, and this is not proper English, but be where you at. Wherever you're supposed to be, whatever you're supposed to be doing, however you're supposed to represent. So whether that's behind the pulpit, whether it's in Liberia saving a life, whether it's you sitting at home meditating, reading, praying, follow the prompting of the Holy Spirit, your relationship, regardless of what anybody else says. So I just wanted to touch on faith because it's so important. I want to go back to Africa Ben Hot. We kind of skipped to faith, but we're going to end on Africa Ben Hot. When he introduced himself, he told you guys he was born and raised in Liberia. Washington and myself were both born here in the States, but we were born in the community and culture. And so what he experienced back home, our parents and aunties and family friends, they created a community so we can experience it here. And we love the fact that our culture is being celebrated. Our culture is being recognized. Our culture is being publicized outside of the community, right? But one thing that is disappointing, and I guess you can say a little bit concerning as it relates to this movement is the culture is being, ran with, but it seems like Africans are not a part of the narrative or the conversation or the events. It's great to showcase our culture and profit off our culture and do all these things as it relates to the culture. But don't forget about the people who are of the culture originally. Even me, I'll say Washington and I, who are first generation Liberian American, we are Liberian. Regardless if we were born on the continent or not, it's flowing through our blood, through our veins. But when we get around our family and friends who were born on the continent, you kind of just respect and you learn and you make respect and you make sure that everyone is a part of the narrative, right? And so I want to talk about that, whether it's whatever angle you want to reach. And this extends beyond Liberia. This is Africans in general, but starting with you, Songa, because you were actually born in Liberia, but what are your thoughts on how the culture is being portrayed and how do you feel? Do you feel like we're being left out of the narrative?
To kind of buttress what you were saying, I think to put yours in a nutshell is like nobody can explain your story better than you. You get what I'm saying?
That's good.
So when these occasions and celebrations are happening and they're talking about Africa, but you see African Americans there, you don't see the African there. They can only talk about what they read. They can't talk about the true reality. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's where you were coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we were talking about Africa being hot, not weather hot, but hot.
Hot, as in hot,
Literally.
fire.
Okay, hot. Okay.
Africa been hot. It didn't just
You know,
start.
yeah,
On both
Africa.
sides. Literally. on both sides.
Speaking to the audience, one thing that, especially African Americans, they need to understand that Africa is a continent. It's a very big continent with I think 52 countries. There are different culture in different countries. So not all Africans are not the same. You got what I'm saying? We speak different languages and we have different cultures, but it's our diversity that keeps
Right.
us unique, that makes us unique, so when you meet one, don't think he's the same as the one you met last week,
Right.
because we are different people,
Right.
I can't speak of other countries because I'm not from there, but I mean I've mingled with them and I know how they operate, but I'm Liberian, so I know what we did growing up, something that we all know, Liberia is a country that has great American influence. You were
Right.
saying earlier, Africa really has been hot, but we haven't given the audience, we haven't given the time, the space, and now that everybody is recognizing the music, the food, the culture, we've been having those things. They've been around. We've been enjoying it. You guys been missing out. You guys been missing out. So it's nothing new to us. But it's exciting for us to see that people are trying to learn, what we experienced growing up, and people are trying to learn our culture, but it's just the best way to do it is to interact with us more.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of things out there saying that Africans don't like Black Americans.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that. We are intelligent people. We love to have fun. So when you talk to us, just don't start asking foolish questions. Did you live in the tree? Don't do that. Don't do that. We have houses. We have cars. Mercedes, Jaguars, and BMWs. We have that, Africa has evolved greatly, Some of the things that we have, you guys don't even have it here in America, So Africa is a very unique continent, and the next time you see a person that's of African origin, just talk to them. And then see where that conversation goes, You can learn from them and they can learn from you.
That is true. And you'll be surprised at the ignorance that exists. So him saying that, it may seem like, okay, he's exaggerating. No. And I'm going to stop there. But again, a socialite production, the platform is to showcase Africans. And it's going to be more than just Liberians. I keep highlighting Liberians is because, one, it's a part of an extension of my storytelling, right? But it's to also educate people, because you'll be surprised how many people don't know about Liberia or even know the connection of Liberia and America. So when you speak about Black history, Liberia definitely should be a part of the narrative. That's where the free slaves migrated, right? You have anything to add?
Again, I just try to tread carefully.
We're gonna go deeper though. When we have this conversation, we go deeper.
Now, to be African is in. So, for a bit of time, it definitely made me feel a way. Sometimes it still does, because there's no, they'll go to our culture and take, some of the hottest parts or, what they see that they deem cool or whatever. And there's no context around it.
Right.
So when you don't have a context, there's so much room for interpretation and false interpretation.
Yeah.
So, Africa has definitely always been hot. I'm thankful to God once again that I've been able to go home. We have natural food. We have all the minerals that you could think of that could support, an economy. It's the freest place on this planet Earth. Like, I can remember in my adult age, 2019, I can remember literally when we first touched the soil, we got to Sierra Leone first.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, like, tears just started to flow from my eyes. Like, there was such a
Really?
strong
Yeah.
connection
Yeah.
to just like the soul. It felt like home. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
how
it
you're
was- yeah.
free. Like, it's our communities are they're the same, but they're a bit different. I think that comes into the approach when African Americans want to interpret our culture, and it comes off as extremely diluted and misinterpreted. So
Yeah.
these conversations do need to be had. They are hard conversations, and I would even love to see, because not saying tempers would flare, but there's some healing between the two.
Absolutely.
Because just common notion, they say, like you said, the African doesn't like the Black American because the African thinks the Black American is lazy, and then the Black American doesn't like the African.
It's
they
both
think that,
sides,
yeah, they think that
literally.
the African is rude and entitled, and I don't know. I don't want to say it's the lack of culture, because there is like I think when you talk about popular world culture, I think Africans and Black Americans literally stand neck and neck. Like, it's 1A, 1B on two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. For people like Beyonce to, you can have world-renowned dancers who still can't imitate, what these cultural people who have no training,
do it like that.
Yeah, so it's two extremes.
Yeah.
And it's a stupid argument to have, to be honest with you. Yeah, because different animals, same beast.
Right. Right.
So we are all the same people, just from
we're the same, but we different, and it's okay.
It's definitely okay.
Right. It's kind of like when
okay.
white people say, "Oh, I don't see color." No, see my color because I'm different, but it's okay. That's why this world is beautiful, because it's a lot of diversity.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to go too deep into I'll be taking up some of the Africa being hot content. But no, this has been great, awesome conversation. I just want to extend the biggest thank you to both Songa and Washington, because first of all, it's late. Second of all, it's a lot of lights in their face. Third of all, they spoke from their heart. And that was my prayer. And I'm looking forward to see not only what a socialite production produces this year for impact. I'm excited to see what each individual that sits in the seat to speak with you all, what they are going to do, starting with these two. And so, any last words before I close out?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to share our stories. Like you said, a lot of things that's happening, and that's free as conversation. You talk to people, you get to know them. And there's a lot of people walking around thinking they know somebody just because of what they heard.
Yeah.
And they're just running with that.
Right.
And that's not right.
Right.
So I want to encourage everybody to talk to people more. Learn, especially to what we were just saying earlier, we are nice people. Nice people. If you want to know about Africa, talk to us. When we have these events come around, ask any question. We won't feel offended. But just when we answer these questions, take the right answer out there. And that's all we are asking you to go and share the word. That way we learn from each other,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Songa. Any last words?
Thank you for allowing me to speak and to just be a part of this. So since you got me speaking now,
yeah, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go now, so I'll be back.
Yeah, and to tie it all up, vision, focus, have faith, be intentional. Let's go, y'all. God bless you all, and tune in next month. A lot more hot topics to come. Take care. Thank you, guys.
This is